Key Concept 9.1 for you today. This is the revised edition, the most up-to-date video you will find on Key Concept 9.1. Before we begin, you know what time it is. Got to do a couple shout-outs. First, to Mrs. Hoke's class in New York, a good friend of mine. Thank you very much for watching. Mr. Conrad's class in Punxsutawney, home of Cincinnati Reds catcher Devin Mesoraco. Mr. May's class in the 305, that's Miami. Mr. DeRosa's class in Milwaukee. Mr. Fernandez's class in Georgia. Mr. Michael's class in Germany. So cool people are watching in Germany. And Mr. Fitch from Austin. Best of luck to you all. Thank you so much. You all will do great on your exam. All right, let's take a look at what Key Concept 9.1 states. A newly ascendant or rising in power conservative movement achieved several political and policy goals during the 1980s and continued to strongly influence public discourse in the following decade. So this is about the birth and rise of the conservative movement. Some big idea questions you should know. What changes occurred in the economy as a result of Reagan's election in 1980? And over what issues did conservatives and liberals debate? Okay, Roman numeral 1, conservative beliefs regarding the need for traditional social values and a reduced role for government advanced in U.S. politics after 1980. Make sure you understand that conservatives call for traditional values and a smaller government. So they really are going to focus on a smaller government. That is paramount to understanding. All right, so why was Reagan's election in 1980 seen as a milestone? Or if you really want to impress the AP readers, use the word watershed event or watershed election. That means like a major turning point. Well, conservatives begin to enact the following things. We have tax cuts, Reaganomics, also known as supply side economics or trickle down economics. They all pretty much are the same thing. Here's Reagan explaining his program on TV. This is the idea that there should be tax cuts for the wealthy in order to stimulate economic growth. And tax rates were cut pretty heavily in the 1980s. This is similar to tax policies of the 1920s under Secretary of Treasury Andrew Mellon. That's a synthesis point if you're writing about the economy in the 1920s or the 1980s. Feel free to use them, connect the two, and there's your synthesis point. And there's also deregulation of many industries, especially Reagan promising in his campaign to decrease environmental regulations that were more favorable to businesses. Now, conservatives will hope to limit liberal programs, things that were enacted under the New Deal and even some of the Great Society, but they will meet inertia or resistance and liberal opposition. And this is because many of these programs remain popular with voters. So, for example, Social Security and Medicare, those are beneficial to the elderly, and the elderly vote more than any other demographic. So it's very hard to limit these programs if these people vote, because they will vote for people that supports these programs. So understand, even though conservatives wanted to limit the size and scope of government, it was difficult to get rid of some programs. Now, policy debates are going to emerge regarding free trade agreements. This is something that's even true today in 2016. Think of NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement. This is when no tariffs would be placed on goods that are made and traded between America, Canada, and Mexico. Now, if you own an Xbox 360, that is made right across the border from the United States and Mexico, because there is no tariff when it is shipped into the United States. In Seattle in 1999, there was a World Trade Organization meeting, and there were several protests outside. And here is a picture of the craziness that occurred. These protesters were getting pepper sprayed by this police officer. Now, the scope of the government and the social safety net has been debated. How big should the government be? How much of a social safety net should there be? And in 1996, under Bill Clinton, we had welfare reform. And some viewed the public as becoming too dependent on government assistance, or that they became too reliant on government programs. So this instituted time limits on welfare assistance and also increased eligibility requirements. So this really kind of reduced the amount of welfare that people were getting and the length of time that they were getting it. There were also calls to reform the U.S. financial system. You see this in the area of finance reform, Financial Services Modernization Act. This repealed parts of the Glass-Steagall Act from the New Deal. So many people, conservatives in particular, are going to call for deregulation of the financial system. All All right, for test tips, multiple choice and short answer. Be able to identify and explain the goals of conservatives. NAFTA and the debates over free trade, that's just one example of it, and debates over the scope and size of government. For long essay and DBQ, you will not see one exclusively on period 9, but it could be a part of a larger idea. For instance, debates over scope and size of the federal government since World War II and reasons for the rise of the conservative movement. All right, guys, look forward to seeing you back here in Key Concept 9.2. Thank you very much for watching. We only have 2 videos left, and you're going to do great on your exam. And I wish you nothing but the best of luck in May. Have a good day.